Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the last panel of the talk series at the Serendipity Arts Festival. Who gets to belong? Thank you. Who gets to belong? Rethinking Power in the Arts in partnership with CultureCon is a particularly important and exciting panel for the possibilities it holds for moving forward our work in the creative sector in empowering ways. I would like to invite Rashmi Dhanwani, founder of Artex Company and Festivals from India, who over the past few months has thoughtfully shaped and brought this panel together to say a few words and introduce our panelists.
Thank you, Amishi, and to the Serendipity team for collaborating with us on this very important topic. So this conversation that we are having is, we've spoken a lot about equality, diversity, inclusion in the arts, and as I remember when Nandita, Prerna and I, we were talking about this, one of the things we spoke about is how do we move this conversation forward? How do we build upon other conversations that we've had? And then talk about this further. So step one for us was to actually have diverse voices, perhaps in areas that we often don't bring into these conversations. So talking about EDI in the context of not just disability and gender, but also sexuality, race, class, and caste. Beyond token, gratitude, representation, how do we look at meaningful inclusion? How do we look at power integration? And at the same time, how do we look at both hiring and programming for leadership in these spaces? So the idea here is for all of us to ask questions, not just of the panel, but of ourselves. And hence, this is an invitation to all of you to get ready to be uncomfortable, to be open to the idea of discomfort, to ask hard questions of ourselves and the worlds we create in the creative sector. We all speak of being, yesterday I was having a very interesting conversation with Bruce Guthrie, who some of you met from the NCPA, where we are talking about the politics of funding in the arts, furthering from our roundtable conversations. And one of the things we spoke about is, do we, if we equate ourselves to the education sector or to the health sector, how does funding play out there? Can a certain mining company therefore fund education, and are we okay with that? And when they fund the arts, are we okay with that? So what parameters and boundaries are we drawing around ourselves? And it's okay to not have all the answers, but to ask the right questions. So that's our final invitation to you and to the panel to do the same. To join us on this, what I hope to be a sort of a partly scathing conversation and partly exciting conversation on what makes us do what we do. Coming from the spaces that we come, we have Ranjana Dave, who will be moderating the session, who's an artist, curator, writer, and editor. She's also curated some of the dance programming at Serendipity this year. We have Purnima Sukumar, who's the director of the Aravani Art Project. Joining Purnima is Shanti Muniswamy, who's also a member of the Aravani Art Project from Bangalore in India. We have Dhamarakshit Ranadive. He's a cultural activist and Lok Shahir and founder member of Yalgar Sanskritik Manch. And we have, and I hope I get this right, Mos Te Odurangi. Was the gi right? Okay. Mos Te Odurangi Peterson. He's the chief executive and artistic director of the New Zealand Dance Company. May I request you all to welcome them with the same enthusiasm that you gave Amishi and us. May we have the panel and the moderator on stage. Over to you, Ranjana. Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone, and good afternoon, and welcome again to Who Gets to Belong, Rethinking Power in the Arts. I'm going to go between English and Hindi. This session is largely in English, but I am going to translate a few things into Hindi and back. And even in your questions, I welcome you can ask questions in English and Hindi. And I'm sure even with other languages, we have the capacity to translate. We can figure it out. What does it mean to not trust the ground we stand on? Or to not have any ground to stand on. जब आपके पैरों तले ज़मीन खींची जाती है तो उससे क्या फ़र्क होता है आप पर? आप क्या महसूस करते हो? Today's panel has 4 speakers, and in who they are and what they do, identity and embodiment are central to their practice. They've all claimed space for themselves through ongoing struggles, and this should not be a struggle they need to be at the forefront of. They shouldn't need to struggle, but they've had to, and in doing so, they negotiate belonging and inclusion through their work, and also through their lives. So to start with, before I have questions for all of you, but before we start, I want all of you to look around the room and maybe say hi to the person sitting next to you. Let's take about 15 to 20 seconds to do that. Okay, I want you to ask yourselves and to ask each other who is in this room. इस room में कौन है and why? क्यों है? What role do they play in this space, the people in this room? Are they on stage? Are they listening to us? Are they the people managing the space, both the people you see in the room and the people who worked hard to make this possible, to clean the space before we got here, to make sure we have electricity? Our 4 panelists today, through their lived experience, will reflect on who remains excluded from arts ecosystems, from spaces, from decision-making roles, and from resources. Why these exclusions exist and why they persist, and also how we can begin to undo them. Our panel will explore how caste, class, geography, sexuality, and indigeneity, also gender, intersect to shape visibility, funding, authorship, and leadership. Lots of ships, we'll unpack them. आर्ट की दुनिया पे किसका हक है, क्यों है, हम इस दुनिया में किसको देखते हैं, कहाँ देखते हैं और किस रूप में देखते हैं. Rather than treating all of these, all of these intersections as abstract identities, the conversation will focus on how these forces operate structurally across institutions, markets, formal and informal networks. और आज हम ये बात नहीं करने आए हैं कि हाँ ये तो संघर्ष है, क्या करें इसका. हम ये बात करने आए हैं कि इसको सुधारने के लिए, इसको बेहतर बनाने के लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं. और आज हमारे पैनलिस्ट आपके साथ ये प्रैक्टिकल स्ट्रैटेजीज भी शेयर करना चाहते हैं. I'm just going to, Rashmi's already introduced the panelists, so I'm just going to say a little bit about their work before we get into the panel. Shanti Muniswamy and Purnima Sukumar from the Aravani Art Project. That's a collective run by trans and cis women, and they undertake these large-scale public art projects with members of the transgender community. Dhamma Rakshit Randeve, Dhamma, is a cultural activist and lok shahir, or a people's poet, from the Ambedkari Jalsa tradition. And he's also a founder member of the Yalgar Sanskritik Manch. They run a space in Bombay, in an underserved area in Bombay called Nirmik. Moste Urarangi Patterson is the CEO and artistic director of the New Zealand dance company in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Okay, with that, to the panelists. I'm going to go back and forth between all of you through the conversation. And if I keep looking at my phone or typing on my phone, I'm not chatting away. I'm just making notes. My first question is for Shanti and Purnima. So Aravani Art Project often works in public spaces with trans communities. And these communities are made hyper-visible in society. You see them, and as you mentioned yesterday, they're primarily seen across begging, across sex work. but they're very invisible in cultural decision making. So, from your experience, what kinds of power become possible when trans people are not just the subjects of art? It's not like they're just portrayed, but when trans people are authors, organizers, and leaders of artistic processes.
Okay. Okay. Firstly, I am talking on behalf of all the trans women who couldn't be here from the collective, obviously. Um, in terms of authorship, I think from the very beginning of when the project started, it was always co-created and co-founded. So since it was co-founded, it only made sense to actually co-curate and co-run this entire thing. So every decision is made, however difficult and challenging, along with the group, however time-taking, however, it depends on how many people are involved. So because that many ideas will come. So depending on which project we're doing and who is the best at that topic, we approach that trans person and they become the collaborator in the project, whether it is a design process, whether it's a performance, whether it's collecting some stories. Only a facilitator.
To add to Purnima, yesterday while talking, she told that I would leave them, let them swim, let them try to learn swimming. So that's how she left. And right now, currently, like I'm like trying to swim. So what can I add is the cultural. Okay, for an example, we had this IFA fund. So, what can we do apart from the visual art that we do? So, this was challenging and something that we took it as let's try to do this. So, it was like through that fund, what can we do from apart from the mural art that we do? So, there was this photography session where we handled the camera. We learned technical aspect of the camera, how to use it, and it was always the transgender community who the journalist would appear with the camera and want to interview us. It was us who took the camera, and it felt such a good moment for us to learn the camera and see the power of the camera on it. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to come back to you, and when I do, I'd also like you to talk a little more about some of the public art projects you do. I'll be back. Dhamma, आपके अनुभव में मतलब जब ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस खुद को प्रोग्रेसिव या समावेशी इंक्लूसिव समझते हैं, तो तभी भी वो कभी कभी वो ये कला के इकोसिस्टम में जाति का इफ़ेक्ट होता है, भाषा पर होता है, पहुंच पर होता है, नेटवर्क पर होता है, और वो कहते हैं कि मतलब कला के इसमें स्पेस में है, आप सभ्यता होनी चाहिए आपकी. तो ये कैसे मतलब जो कला के स्पेस में जो नॉर्मल ऐसे हम बोलते हैं काम है, उसके बाहर रह जाता है. मैं ये इंग्लिश में भी एक बार ऑडियंस के लिए दोहराऊंगी. So what I've asked Dhamma is, in your experience, how does caste operate silently within arts ecosystems through language, access, networks, and also notions of refinement, even when organizations claim to be progressive or inclusive?
Ho ho ho! Let's hey hey! शायरी का आदत है ना, तो गाने में ही बात करना आता है हमको. सो वो थोड़ा फिर इसलिए वो सुर चाहिए, म्यूजिक चाहिए. Yes, so many of our friends who's born as a upper caste, privileged family, and some of where they are very enthusiastic to do something with the upper caste guild. They have some upper caste guild. They want to give space to the others, space to the backward class. But that their enthusiasm sometimes they encourages the identity also. They talks, this is a collaboration, this is a collaboration, but it's not a collaboration. They have want to, we are giving the space for the marginalized community. So I think it's a very problematic gaze if you are going to give stage to someone and we are feeling just you are satisfying your ego and you are just giving I do something. I'm जैसे होता है ना पाप धोने का काम है हमारे यहाँ. In Indian culture, the you can do sin whatever would you want to do, many sins, and go in the Ganga river and just washed with the water and your sins clean. So this is the sin cleaning system is here, and so I think some people's also going like this. So this is one of the problematic approach. I think please everyone have should critically think on his privileged position. I also critically thinking on my position. I just went to the toilets before this talk. In the male urinals that the pot, there's someone throw the chewing gum. He know someone going to clean. This is the caste system. If I am making a garbage on the road, I play the fataka and all the crackers on the road, holy on the road, but my community going to clean, and you are the conditioning. Some the caste, we have the peoples to clean. So I think if you are doing a garbage on the road, so you are the casteist. Yeah, you're not aware about the roots. So I think we think like that ki where we are. I really, and it's not that it's bad. Some friends are very genuine. They want to do some good work, but because of the some gaze, because of that experience, they can't express properly. So I think it's a time, it's a need to talk more. It's need to understand more. It's need to understand the caste system. And in India, we all just celebrating diversity, diversity. The discrimination is a root. We have to underline that also. So I think this kind of work should definitely do. And spaces don't want to play with like now tokenism. Yeah, this is also happening. Ki, oh, we want transgender, we want Dalit, we want Muslim. We genuinely do want to work with them. We want to genuinely do you want to empower, or you are just kind of charity work. We don't want that kind of charity work. We want empowerment. We want self-respect. We have our vision. And just let's come together. We will move. We walk, not follow the full road, but we will walk a little bit. Okay, but let's come together with differences, with ideology. Let's talk. Give a time for the friendship. Just to catching the one folk artist, one activist, marginalized activist, and just showing, oh yeah, I'm doing with work, I'm doing, you are just fulfilling yourself, your ego. I think so. दोस्ती के लिए वक्त देना पड़ता है for the relation build up. Yeah. So I think it's very important to give a time. Let's take a breath. Don't be in a guilty position, or don't be a god to survivor of all things. In India, there's the, every time someone come, avtara system. So don't be avatar. Yes, already in democracy, there is avatar outside the room. Thank you. I think I diverted. So sorry. Yeah.
Not at all. And in fact, I just want to highlight that yesterday Dhamma was speaking about how dosti is one of the foundational principles of his work and of the space that he runs. And I think that's a wonderful way of thinking about relationships, about our interpersonal relationships, whether they're in any space. And that also brings me to Moss's work, because as Dhamma just said, we often speak about diversity. We're all familiar with EDI, DEI, all of these, all of the permutations and combinations of the word. But when it comes to the actual redistribution of power, institutions often struggle with that. People in those institutions struggle with that. In your role, what practical strategies have you found that facilitate a welcoming of individual voices and make that shift from representation to genuine belonging?
Kia ora, tēnā koe I tō kōrero ki au me tō pātai. Kau ki matanuku, kau ki matarangi, kau ki tēnei whenua hei whenua. Mau he kai te manawa o tauhau, tuana ngā toro ki te tehi o tongariro I āhaha. Nā reira, kei te mihi, tēnei ki a koutou katoa. He uri tēnei no Ngāti Tūwhare toa e mihi ana ki a koutou. Kia koutou ngā tangata whenua, te mana whenua o tēnei rohe, o tēnei whenua a tēnā koutou. E ngā mātai kaua inga nui a tātou haere atura. I wanted to just begin by saying that one of the ways that we begin to interrupt ways of acknowledging and welcoming is through language. And one of the ways that I wanted to begin today was to acknowledge the people here. But I also wanted to share with you a proverb that was chanted about 1,000 years ago by my ancestor Ngā Toroirangi, who navigated in a boat, in a waka, with a group of people across the oceans to Aotearoa, New Zealand. And it was his way, it was their way of acknowledging the place, of acknowledging the new place that they were entering into, and also acknowledging those that have passed away. So in response to your question, when we practice within the space of the New Zealand Dance Company, we often hear about how we can practice equity, equality, inclusion, and we do that through language, we do that through song, we do that through creating an environment of relationality. So one of the ways that we share that relationality is acknowledgement of place. And what does it mean to belong here? I've arrived here in these lands with our Ropu from Asian New Zealand Foundation, and we're all a diverse group of New Zealanders here in Goa at this time for serendipity. And one of the ways that we can simply acknowledge place is to say that through language and song, and we've managed to share that on many occasions. Place is a really important part of acknowledging where we are. Sharing your name is also a really important part of who we are and your intention. So one of the tools, I suppose, because one of the things that I thought we could bring, which is also a part of New Zealand hospitality, we call it manaakitanga, is to bring some things. So I've got a few ways in which we practice that. And we got to meet each other yesterday through sharing each other's stories and sharing that back with each other. We said hi before. This is another way that we can do that to establish some relationality. It's called place, name and intention. And maybe we could try that now. You can do that through language. You can just simply listen to the person that's next to you, share their language, their story of place. My story of place is a small village in the central North Island of New Zealand. There's a lake there. I can hear the sounds of my aunties giggling in the corner as they watch me run across the marae. And that's my place when I think about my place. I'm here in Goa, but in my heart and in my mind, I'm thinking of that place. My name is Moss Te Ururangi Patterson, and that was beautiful. Thank you for saying my name so beautifully well. And it makes me feel connected to being here. It also reminds me of the name that my grandmother gave me. When I was growing up, my name was Mumu, and my aunties still call me Mumu on the marae. And then over time, it changed to Moose, and my cousins had a great time calling me Moose, and then it morphed to Moss. So when I went to school, my name was Moss, and when I went back to the marae, my name was Mumu. My intention is just to be here with my esteemed colleagues to share some ideas, to share some ways in which we can connect. And it was amazing to hear Mr. Munjal talk about that yesterday, the importance of engaging and staying engaged in this important conversation, because it's how we transform our work as artists. So I can invite you just for 1 minute. I want you to just turn to the person next to you and share with them your place, your name, and your intention. And just one person's going to share and the other person is just going to listen. And you've got 1 minute. Off you go. Check. Check, check. Hello. Yeah. Check.
You should try and connect this answer to any question that is asked.
Okay, well, time is short, so that's 1 minute. Sorry, team. So just coming back to the room, so I didn't mean to take over the mic, but Lee Manoir, an amazing speaker, an amazing writer, says that we're only one question away from knowing something, from hearing the counter perspectives. So if you had one question that you wanted to ask that person as they just shared their place, name and intention, you've got 30 seconds to ask them a quick question now. So you can ask them a question. The question is about taking the conversation further, and it's not about you, it's about them. So you've got 30 seconds. Just ask them one question about what they just shared with you with place, name and intention. Off you go. 30. So kia ora, everyone. We're going to sing a song. Tu tira mai ngā iwi au e tātou tātou e. Tu tira mai ngā iwi au e tātou tātou e. Pai a te maramatanga me te aroha e ngā iwi kia tapatahi kia kotahira. Tātou, tātou e, tātou, tātou, atahiru atoru whāksio e. So song and story. Kia ora.
Thank you. With that, I'm going to come back to Purnima and Shanti. I think it's important for our audience to hear more about the projects that you do, the scale of them. And my question to you is, you both navigate institutions, city authorities, the local government, funders, and communities at the same time. And some of that came up when Shanti was talking about the IFA project as well. So how do you, in these spaces, you're dealing with so many people all at the same time, and all of this, most of this is in public space. So how do you negotiate dignity, agency, and fair working conditions for transgender artists within these systems?
To start with, I mean, I might not get into all the projects that we do, but maybe the process, I think, the way we started the project itself was just me as an outsider and not from a trans community. And as Dhamma rightly said, I spent at least 5 to 6 years being friends with them before we started a project. Starting the project was never in our cards. It just happened because we were like, hey, let's paint a wall together. That's it. So there was no major, I don't know, there was nothing majorly planned for that to happen. It happened as a reaction to some things. It happened as, and like I said yesterday, like it was a reaction to many things. A, anger. B, wanting to spend time together in public. C, wanting to be seen in public. And more importantly for them, again, I was just a facilitator. I was able to get the permission, get the paints for everyone, make sure everyone comes. But after that, it was theirs. Um, I continue to do that even now. And but now, of course, like you said, the agencies are different, the funders are different, but we try and simplify it exactly this way. We do not complicate it. Everybody who works with us knows very well who we are working with, who we are working for, and who they are, and what kind of work and design we do. Of course, they do have a say in that sometimes. Um, if artworks are in public and if we have funders and government authorities involved, then unfortunately we have to play by some of the things that they give us conditions as well. But we are happy to come to a mediation with that. And again, that is conveyed to the community. And yeah, I mean, it is challenging, but nowadays people are being a little open about it strangely. As a project, we've not had too many challenges. I don't know how. And maybe because we are not working under a funder, and it's been 9 years since we have had any funding. We've tried to sail our own ship. Um, and I think that gives us a lot of authority. And that was also a collective decision. Um because either we take this direction of being an NGO and look down upon as people, oh, there are trans people and so they've painted, and not that direction, but to professionally train them and make them artists. And that direction really helped us. And it's good that we decided that in the very beginning. Until now, yes, we don't have any funding, but we are sustaining on our projects and the commissions that we get. Uh, there are downsides to that because we can't afford to pay salaries, we don't have them full time. Um, but navigating through festivals, or say, people have always come to us because they know who we are and our work, and it's not the other way around. We've just to be a little, I don't know, we've never applied for anything. Everything has come to us always, and we like that pace. We're not in a hurry to grow, nor are we in a hurry for anything, actually. So yeah.
So I would be more happy if I get a paint and brush than the mic in my hand. I'd be more comfortable with that. So ನಾ ಕನ್ನಡಲ್ಲಿ சொல்கிறேன். ಸೊ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಯಿತು, ಅರವಾಣಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಶಿ ಇಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟ್ ಇಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಸೇ. ಸೊ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗಲ್ಲಿ ಅರವಾಣಿ ಜೊತೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿಯ ವಿಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿಯವ್ರು ಹೋಗಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಪೇಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೆಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದು ತುಂಬ ಒಂಥರ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಓಕೆ, ಇವರೇನೋ ಒಂದು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ತರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಥರ ಇತ್ತು. ಆ ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಮೂವ್ ಪೂರ್ಣಿಮಾ ಅಂತವ್ರು ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಬಾಷ್ ಟು ಹರ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇದೇ ಥರ ಮೆನಿ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಶುಡ್ ಕಮ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್. ಹೌದು.
Okay. More than that, it's what she's saying is that actually for people to also view the community in public space doing something else was new, and so people were more surprised than commenting on it. They would be happy that they're not seeing them again begging or doing sex work, but to see them do something else was always an encouraging reaction from a lot of public people, people in the public. Only few drunkards.
Yeah.
Few drunkards.
Yeah, who made a pass on us or wanted our phone numbers. Yeah. We had to stop your painting.
Thank you. I must say that she was also translating. Shanti did also mention that she shabash to Purnima, cheers to Purnima, which Purnima left out. So I'm going to put that in. Moss, back to you. Um, as an indigenous leader in a national arts institution, you're working at the intersection of cultural sovereignty and institutional responsibility. And that's a very complex position. Or to borrow from Pooja's wonderful question in one of the roundtables yesterday, who takes the final call and how? How do you navigate power from within while ensuring that community values are not diluted or instrumentalized in the course of the institution's work?
Thanks for your question. So taking a pause is always my response to what's the best next step when a new work is being presented, when we're developing a new program. And sometimes taking a pause can mean it takes weeks. Navigating through an idea or a way of interrupting a pattern of work that I might have seen in a particular festival or within our company takes time to reflect. And like my ancestor who travelled across the Pacific and thousands of years ago, navigating has been part of my practice. So each of the programs that arrive on our shore in our company space, I go through a process of navigating how I feel about that. And it's this particular method was gifted to me by an amazing gentleman called Glenn E. Singleton, and he wrote a book called Beyond Diversity. And this is simply a way to internally navigate how we might, as Indigenous leaders in Aotearoa, New Zealand, navigate how we might curate programs. And it's really just a self-reflective process. So it's so if you just think about a compass as navigating yourself through a conversation with yourself, there are 4 quadrants. I'm feeling a little bit nervous right now, so as my brother next to me is, and so in one quadrant of that compass is the feeling quadrant, and this is everything that comes up for you when you might be considering a new work or curating a new program. Then you have your belief system, which is really those moments in time that you really feel strongly about something, but it's more than that. It's something that you're really committed to, like a belief, and you really go with that idea. So believing and feeling. Then on the other side, which often happens in the morning, and I wake up and I'm doing my emails, is I'm writing thought, and I'm just thinking 1,000 thoughts. And as producers and artistic directors, we do that too. And those thoughts turn into actions, and we send off those emails and we meet those KPIs. And 200% of my time is often thinking and acting, and it's madness. And when I'm overthinking and feeling a bit overwhelmed, I try to reach across the other side of the compass, out of the thinking and out of the acting, and just ask myself, what do I really believe here as an Indigenous man curating this particular program for a mainstream New Zealand dance company? And I have to lean into that, and it draws me out of overthinking, and it draws me back to centre. And when I think about what my beliefs are and how I feel about that, do I have an emotional response to this new work that's being proposed, or am I proposing this work myself? It just takes me out of being a little bit overwhelmed and a little bit freaked out, and it draws me back to centre. And so this simple tool of navigating my own internal dialogue has been one of the ways, as a brown man, as an Indigenous man from Aotearoa, New Zealand, how I've navigated those in conversations internally. And we practice that too in the studio with each other. This is just a simple way of navigating with each other. And so when I'm having a conversation and I was listening to your story, you know, it really took me into the feels. I was like really feeling myself in that situation. And when I'm having a conversation with someone who might be deep in their feeling, and then I start asking them a question, oh, it made me think of that and this and that, you know, the conversation doesn't really go that well. So the idea of the compass is to listen to your colleague talking about a particular idea. It might be a program, it might be an Indigenous work, it might be any idea, but the point is to navigate towards them so that you don't get into this situation where you're both having the same conversation, but you're coming at it from different points on the compass. When someone's deep in feeling, there's no point in asking them thousands of questions. Just try and meet them in that feeling and just go, yeah, I really feeling what you're saying. Really try and meet them in that moment, and then you can draw back to where you are, and then you can begin to introduce what you're thinking by meeting them in that quadrant. And the same applies to believing and thinking and acting. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thamma, किसी कम्युनिटी या आंदोलन को बनाने रखने के लिए एक फिजिकल जगह का होना बहुत ज़रूरी है, और यलगार सांस्कृतिक मंच का भी निर्मिक नाम का एक फिजिकल स्पेस है। और जब और आपने कल हमें बताया कि ये बहुत छोटी सी जगह है, लेकिन फिर भी वो कम्युनिटी के लिए कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है। तो आप मतलब आपके हिसाब से जो सांस्कृतिक काम शॉर्ट टर्म प्रोजेक्ट्स या फेस्टिवल के बजाय किसी ऐसे परमानेंट जगह में होता है, तो इससे वो काम पर और कम्युनिटी पर क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है, उनको क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है? I'm also going to say this, repeat the same question in English. Having a physical space goes a long way in sustaining a community or a movement. And Yalgar Sanskritik Manch, the space that Dhamma is a founder member of, also runs a physical community space in Bombay called Nirmik. And I asked him, what difference does it make when cultural work is rooted in a place and in a community rather than in short-term projects or festivals?
Okay. So, politics of space, politics of land. We are always landless. We are always migrated. I don't have the fixed house because when I studied in my Mumbai in my college, my graduation, and I went back to my hometown, my house is demolished in the slum rehabilitation. So my house is just demolished. So we don't have the space. And in the yesterday I talked, the caste system is a historical blunder, and they did some problematic things with land. We don't have lands. Our ancestors and many of nomadic tribes are different, facing different problems, but nomadic tribes, Dalit, scheduled caste and all, they don't have lands, so always landless. So when we came to the Mumbai for the education, we did masters in theater arts, and it's got privilege to do masters in theater arts and all. Then we don't have the space to rehearse and all things, and we perform in our rooted for Ambedkarite movements. There our all seniors and our leaders tell us ki you should be in a community. You perform very everywhere, on street, on stage, on village, on cities, but you should your base in the community because you are the community artist, you which should be in the community. So we oftenly went to the community slums where we stay, our friends stay in working, and we don't have the space. We rehearsal some friend's house. As my house was the pack of full of the books, instrument, rehearsals, my family and all things. So I think uh, when you are just performing, it's impact, artist work impacts. Sometimes it's in subconscious, it's working, but for a long time change, you have to be engaged with the community. It's a long time. This change is a long time process. So being a roots in a community, with community, working with children's, women, youth, because they people they have all kind of spaces. Yeah, mandirs and shakhas and all things. The one Sangathan, they have big, they completed now 100 years, one Sangathan of India, and they have lots of shakhas, space, offices. But as a Ambedkarite, communists have lots of spaces in India. Socialists have lots of spaces, so-called upper caste. Feminists have spaces, but Ambedkarite, like us, we don't have the space for the meeting, for the talk, for the workshop, for the thing. So finally, on 2023, we rent the space. It's on currently also still it's on rent. We perform and we also talk to the people. We are going to perform. Don't give a charity to us. Give a performance fee to us. We will run our space. We will run our space. So Ambedkar also taught us pay back to society. We also 15%, 15% of our performance fee we contributed to our space. It's called Nirmi Culture Center, but it's not sustainable plan because we don't have that much performances. People and system don't want to perform more, so it's a limited performances. So I think it's a deep. The festivals is very important. I yesterday also reflect this kind of progressive talks in this kind of serendipity festival very well works, but in ground level, hatred politics, violence, everything is right. Everyone is very positive, pro democracy, for pro marginalized everywhere. But when you are going to the in Mumbai slums, in village, my hometown recently last year had a mob lynching my community from the scheduled caste only, they lynched one Muslim guy. So what kind of hate politics is happening in the ground level? Hate tracks is playing, hate plays and films and all. But so ground is different. So I think if you like guys help this kind of spaces, this kind of ground level movement, it will change a lot. It will. It's a one-to-one communication. It's a dealing with the human to human. You just can't on social media, not only festivals. So I think groundwork is very important. Working with people, workshops, theater. It's a process to change, evolve you. So I think we're doing workshops in our space. We're trying to collaborate with different. So it's a cross learning things, and it works a lot. So I think art is great, festival is great, but continuous work. And don't work, go to the slums, don't go to the bastis, do it in your society. Yeah. In Mumbai, there is no society not allowed Muslims, society not allowed Hindus, Dalit. I asked, are you vegan? Are you non-veg, veg? So this kind of happening in India. We are reading this preamble of Indian Constitution, but society is not following this kind of thing. So I think you all guys do it groundwork, community work, do it in your society. In some time, my neighbors going to kill me because he are going to continuously brainwashing where some from others. So I think groundwork and working with community, it's more important in today's and all things of capitalism. Do you want capitalism want you take a beer alone? You have 10,000 of friends on Instagram, Facebook, but in I doing Blinkit, Swiggy, Zomato, you don't have connection with the shopkeepers and very everywhere. So the market want you alone, and system wants you alone, and or ghetto of caste, religion, gender. So it's a ghettoization, taboo, and all thing. So I think so it's important to again I called it a dosti. It's a friendship process, long live friendship. You have to go out and work with your community, work with your home, and work with around. So the community spaces and ground level work is very much important for great thing. And Ambedkar also think the cultural humor. I forgot the quote. Cultivation of mind is ultimate aim of human existence. So it's a cultivation of mind. Thank you. He's my brother Vishwesh from same institute. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhamma. And I just want to emphasize that running a space in Bombay is no small feat. Bombay is one of the most complicated property markets in India, and also probably one of the most expensive in the world, even though we're operating on Indian currency. And every space is contested. This room could probably be like 6 generously sized Bombay flats, and generously sized, emphasis on that. So running a space and committing to rent a space as an artist and sustain it is no small feat. So I just want to acknowledge that. And I also just wanted to draw more attention to what Dhamma was saying about starting small, starting in your community, because we're seeing this happen everywhere. We're seeing, I was at the Nagari seminar the other day, and one of the short films was about how how the law is being used in Gujarat to ghettoize communities in Ahmedabad and restrain them to really small areas. So this is happening all around us, and perhaps the internet contributes to that alienation, both in surrounding us with, with similar ideas and making us, there's a word for that, which there's a word for being surrounded by, which is not coming to me right now, but it will come back. But we have a little bit of time, and before I open this up to the audience, which is also a cue for you to think about your questions, and I'm sure you will have many for our panelists. This was not on my list, but I have one last question to all of you. And this is, we're now in the space of fantasy. This is the moment to fantasize. If you had all the power, what is it? What did you do with it? What would you do with it? And what is the first step you would take? Just the first step, and this is a fill in the blanks for all of us.
I can go. I'm averse to power. I will definitely give it to somebody else who can deal with it better, not me.
Thank you.
For me, I hate politics for some reason or the other, power or the politics. So I don't want to dream about it. Yeah.
I think it. I think I'd probably sit in silence for about 2 years and think about it. But the first thing that came to mind was to have a great meal and a great gathering. But of course, the answer is to share it equally. And it would take time, it would take relationality, it would take trust, it would take belief, it would take hope, all of the things that serendipity is about. And that would be an amazing tomorrow.
Thank you.
I am very practical in a way, but if I get a magical power, I can erase the memory of human which is believe in caste. I want to clean the slate. I want to clean the set of caste, orthodox privileges, all taboos, and make a beautiful human to everyone. So newly see the world without any gaze of caste, gender, class, any discrimination, race, and everything. So I want to clean just like my baby of 30-year-old. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Here's aspiring to a reformatted humanity who all of them with the power to listen first and then act, and the urge and motivation to give power away to people instead of holding it all for themselves. Thank you for all of those responses. With that, I will open this out to the audience. Questions? Let's start here. Sorry, I know that this session is being recorded and possibly even live streamed, so you might need to use a mic. We'll just pass a mic around.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, I just wanted to say I'm a big fan of Aravni Art Collective, and so many times when I take the Bombay local and I meet a lot of trans people on the train, I actually show them your platform and I tell them that there is more to life than, you know, begging and dancing on the train, and this is what your life could look like. So thank you so much for all the work that you're doing.
Hi, thank you so much. I have a very specific question, kind of to do with all of your works and about activism and cultural activism. So I think, you know, sometimes when you're trying to change someone's mind, I've had this experience with many people, like powerful people especially, or you say the right things and you're trying to get them to listen to you and they don't listen. But then they'll go and they'll see a movie, or they'll come to a panel, or they'll talk to someone of equal stature to them, and suddenly their minds have changed. I think you're all doing brilliant work in the art of changing minds, using music and friendship and art to do that. And I was wondering if you had any tricks that you were willing to share with the room about how you use your practice and your background to change minds in the way that you do.
Yeah, my tricks are always just try to connect, and that's really the most simple trick I can possibly share with you. Language, place, name, and intention. That is actually a practice that we do practice. One of the tricks of having a conversation with someone who is in power is, as we've been talking about, is to listen and try to respond based on what they've said, and really try to navigate back to yourself, and then you can offer in your perspective. I've made that mistake so many times where I'll just be wanting to really throw my stuff into the conversation. So it is a moment where you have to be very patient and really hold on to what you believe in that moment. But what Mr. Munjal talked a lot about at his opening was the importance of staying engaged. And this conversation about power and sharing power, equality and equity, inclusion is really a a hard and difficult thing to do, and staying engaged is kind of probably one of the things that I really loved hearing about what he said, because it's so easy to disengage. And in a conversation that I might be having with somebody who we are hoping and wanting to have something happen out of that conversation, is to actually go, this conversation might not work out, and to accept and expect that it might not work out. And so I go into a conversation with a kind of a set of parameters. I'm going to stay really engaged, and I'm going to accept and probably expect that it's probably not going to work out. But therein lies the trick, is that tomorrow you can pick it up, next week you can pick it up, and it just gives you that little bit of hope to then be able to go, okay, I'm going to stay on this. And we talked a little bit about discomfort, and there's another one of the little walls. I'm going to stay engaged. I'm going to expect that it's not going to work out, and I'm also going to accept that I'm going to probably experience some discomfort. And by just kind of saying to myself that's probably going to happen, and I'm not going to tap out of the conversation, I'm not going to get so angry that I'm going to start displaying actions that wouldn't be the types of actions that I want to display in that meeting. I'd really just try and contain that and just try and stay engaged, because the important thing is that we're having the conversation. The last thing that I would say, and this is probably the most important, is to speak your truth. In that conversation, I have to share what's in my heart, what I'm thinking, what my beliefs are, and really display that through my actions. Because in speaking my truth, I'm going to break the pattern of some of the untruths that might be out there, or that might be sifting around in my mind. Because if that's the opportunity to share your truth, then you've shared your truth, right? Maybe that will hit a chord. Maybe that will make a memory for the person that you're speaking to. But the point is that you sort of went through that series of steps: staying engaged, speaking your truth, accepting that it might not work out, but really importantly, staying engaged in the conversation and picking it up again and again and again. And we're here. We're still talking. And that's the important part of it for me.
I think for the changing the minds, एक तो कभी कभी लगता है कि sometime we think how time where you have to we have minimum little time, so where you want to invest your time, you also specifically you how possibilities, where how much possibility to change, so you have to also gauge. So technically some people are just so out of box some, but I think art give impact, experience for the speeches and talks. No, it's not works, it propaganda and all things. But if true arts give experience to subconscious works every time, that's starting the thinking. So I think arts is very important medium, and this his friends is talking patience, let continue talking. इसका हम लोग बोलते हैं भजन चालू रहना पड़ेगा, वो लोगों का भजन चालू है तो हमारा भी भजन जस्ट कंटिन्यू कीप गोइंग, माला जपते रहो अपना जो सत्य की बात है, ये ट्रूथ सीकर, वी आर द ट्रूथ सीकर, यू कीप गोइंग, definitely people's come with you, and see the possibilities. We just like we are working with children, we like working with older people also, but children's is hope now, because but in schools and colleges there all are the agenda is happening. So learning de-learning, it's a continuous process. So learning de-learning, it's a continuous process, believe in the process. I think we shall overcome. I don't like this song because we shall कब हो गया यार, हाँ लेकिन है वो अभी है, क्या करे, फैक्ट है.
Thank you.
Yes. Nah. Changing minds. So I'm a bit of a gatekeeper when it comes to the kind of people who the community will engage with, and I can gauge why they are engaging with the collective itself, whether it is tokenism, which is 95% of the time, and 5% genuinity exists. So yeah, I filter it a lot because I think I will use my privilege in that sense. to be able to tell them and protect them, because they I don't want to give allow them to give their heart to somebody who's just doing it because they're doing it. So I gatekeep a lot, especially when it comes to sharing contacts of them or their time, or if anybody wants to work with them on a project. And we get these emails from people who are like, I'm free for 2 hours on Saturday. Can I come and volunteer? We're like, you go watch a movie instead. We are not free on those 2 hours. So I think it's easier to see the genuinity. Of course, I sometimes bear the brunt of it as well, but it's completely okay. And in terms of changing mind, do you have anything to add?
Art is one medium. Art is a medium that changed everything when I joined Armani Art Project. So art is a medium where change can happen. For example, I can say this and that once older condom now proudly holds a brush in hand. So that's a change. You know, that small change where Purnima, like people like Purnima, came forward to do something for the community. So this small change, that's why I told in the starting talk Sabash to Purnima, so that people can come forward and do something to the community. Yeah, yes, and art is a way to. She doesn't appreciate me.
Thank you.
There's a saying, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. You might have heard that before. It's kind of like the long game. It sounds a bit crazy, but in my experience, it does work. If you establish a way of being in the world, and a space that allows all perspectives to be heard, then things can happen really fast, you know. And you know, we all have tools about how we establish spaces, but I can say that it does happen, and change does happen, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I saw a question in the back of the Stella. Since you have the mic, you can start.
Okay, good afternoon. My question is, I've not gotten answered. Who gets to belong? Rethinking the power of arts, or rethinking the power in arts. Like you see, everybody will think if we all go to school to get education, to do maybe to be teachers or to do health, we can get more funding. But we forget that arts is the foundation of everything. Art is the foundation of our communities. Art is the foundation of our belonging. So when we think about the community and working in the community, for me, I'm not getting the perception as to why most people run away from art instead of embracing it. So if our panelists can help answer me that.
कि आर्ट की बहुत बहुत लोग जब अब वो फंडिंग लेते हैं, जब हम फंडिंग की बात होती है तो वो आर्ट से भागते हैं, फंडर्स भी कभी कभी आर्ट से भागते हैं. तो ये क्यों होता है, और हम आर्ट को क्यों दुनिया बदलने का एक फाउंडेशनल तरीका नहीं समझते? Why don't we understand art as being one of the foundational ways of changing the world?
I'm not sure I can answer your question. All I can say is that as a brown Indigenous man from Aotearoa, New Zealand, I'm going to keep speaking my truth, talking about the stories that are really meaningful and powerful to me. I was raised by an amazing group of matriarchs on the small village, and they shared with me lullabies and songs. And you know, as a young kid growing up on the marae, going to the city and being involved in contemporary dance, it was probably the weirdest thing that they could ever think of. Through perseverance and patience, I started telling their story through the artwork that I was making, and people started to listen. So all I can say is power to us as the artists to keep telling our stories, to not compromise on the beauty and the authenticity of those stories, because around us are people that appreciate and hear those stories. And if we can find one person to believe in that story, then it can amplify and expand it to where it needs to go. So just power to us, sister. You know, we'll just keep telling our stories.
I just wanted to add that just as we think about intersectionalities within the arts, we also need to think about the arts as being an intersection with other aspects of society. And a lot of CultureCon's work revolves around that as well, as I think a lot of our panelists as well. They work in different they work in different areas, they work with different people, and a part of that, the making art more visible, making art as a practice, as a space more visible, is also facilitating more of those intersections. Yesterday, for instance, quite a few people talked about food as a cultural experience. So I think that's one great way. I'm hearing people, going around the festival resonating with food in that way, and in ways they perhaps never have done before. So it's a slow process, but as Dhamma also said, he was saying, bhajan gate rehna chahiye. You just have to keep speaking your truth, singing it, and eventually it will come across.
I think in Indian, Stella's question, I just reply. In Indian situation, in India there is in a feudal democratic state. Still, we are in feudal democratic state. So I also experience in minister when we are just yes. So it's a feudal democratic society, uh, and they want patron. Who is the patron? Who's the patron? They want praising to the Lord. Yeah, praising to the Lord. But we, like artists, we are not going. Hello, hello, hello. So we are artists. We are not going to praise the system, government, and any lord and king. So they don't want to give funds and all things to us. And we are anti that this establishment, our work and this system. So government and the funders, I think, in the last era, Buddhism spread in India. Everywhere the caves is there. Traders and Buddhists, they link each other, and they stayed the creating this all caves and all things. So now traders, what are they doing? What art they are promoting, what culture they want to promote? You should be collaborate with this kind of all things. But what are now current traders, current capitalists, what world they want? They want to destroy and just exploit everything and just use fossil, and they would create a new planet. What they are thinking? So I think it's a need to rethink, they also and we also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. I have a question and one observation. In that context, means there is a one supreme and one victim. In the context of victim, there is a lot of sections, diversifies in the language, in the caste, in the gender, and all the things, and all the peoples are doing in that particular areas. But I just observe there is the some radicals not the communicate with each other, and that is the main cause. Because of that, we are the victim and one is superpower. So you all are the working different sections of that context of victim. I sorry, but this is the reality. So what we can do in that way? So if someone is going to work for language, for gender, then when I am work for community or caste, then how I connect with them and reconnect the power? So is it possible, and how that can will be uh, work out? So for that, what can we do?
How can we take the power back? How can we take the power?
we have to stand up, and we have to tell our stories. And not say sorry. And don't get distracted by the winds of the noise that might be around us. Thank you for your question. Man, that's amazing. That's all I've got to say.
Check, check. So I think it's a need to connecting the dots and as in our group, we are called ourselves an Ambedkarite group, but all are there not a Dalit caste. They are Ambedkarite by thought, by choice. So Ambedkarite by choice, by thought, by not by caste. So I think this is the open platform. Some people are just Vishwesh Dada said, ki we are the some radicals, but they want our agenda. We are only for going to fight on the street. Oh, you don't come, or you don't come. But in this situation, everyone should contribute as per their capacity. In this, everyone should contribute. Someone contribute on stage, someone contribute backstage, some contribute on stage, some contribute economically, socially, networking. So I think everyone finds his, him, her, they all role. What is my role in that moment? And please try to open communication for the open for the communication. Don't feel the this is for his moment, her moment, ये उनका ही है, इनका ही, ऐसा मत करो. I think connecting dots is very important. And intersectionality, we think should be a intersectionality, and we think that like, and we will, so all are in one umbrella. So now just move on. Yeah, thank you.
Just like Daman said, show your solidarity. Let it be women empowerment or the trans community empowerment or the caste, creed, and everything. Just show your solidarity. That will make a huge impact in the society. Yeah.
Hello, hi. I had a question specifically based on what Dhamma sir was saying. In Mumbai, now the architecture is so that you cannot see people on a regular basis. Before, when we had chawl systems, there was a sense of community, or you would have places to like sing, or maybe have open poetry, like the versions of open poetry that we had in places where we now have high rise buildings constantly, and we have buildings or even places of work where you don't get to see people. How do you build community?
Yes, I think we are in a community. We are community. We live in the our center is situated in Kandivli Lokhandwala East. After Dharavi slums is the biggest slum, Krantinagar, Damonagar. So we are in the part of the community. We are in community. So yeah, there is the community. We all are working in the Samaj Mandir and Buddha Vihar, and now we created a separate space because women. So Buddhist also, so-called Buddhist also, oh, it's a divine space. No, you can't dance here. You can't do theater here. So we need to create the space which is run by community ownership. So it's we are in community. Yes, there is community, and people wants to connect. In Mumbai, the Andheri and all, Aram Nagar and Kulabal, all are the theaters and community. But in Borivali, Kandivali, there is no this kind of intimate theater spaces. So we are trying to do this intimate theater space, and people are really enjoying this because every fourth Sunday they have happening film screenings, youth theater workshop, children theater workshop, women's, which is our mothers, aunties, which is work in other buildings for the house as a housemaid. They came every Thursday and perform songs of equality, songs of resistance. So we are in community. So no need to create a different community. Friends like you, they are coming to there. They are going to establish friendships. They are coming to give a solidarity. Adivasis are a community, and the Nirmik had a interesting collaboration. We create one song. We will together for the protest. So it's a making a collaborative intersectional networking. So we are trying to do in Nirmik. So do visit if you possible, and to support also this space. We will definitely welcome you all.
Moss, I also wanted to ask you to weigh in on, just from what I read in the news, New Zealand is having young people are leaving. People are leaving because it's too expensive. It's expensive to live there. It's expensive to, make a life there. So, what I think you'd have a very interesting response to the same question based on your experience.
Yeah, I just try to cook better meals at home so my daughters don't leave. That's my current challenge personally. Um, I mean, there's a lot of disparity in Aotearoa New Zealand, and our young people are central to our community, and we and many of the directors here that are on the New Zealand delegation are passionate about making sure that the network across our country maintains that connectivity, because the youth now, our kids are tomorrow. We don't want them to leave. What parent would want their child to leave home? And we want them to stay, but we want them to be grounded in who they are and where they are. So this ideal of having a society where all perspectives are heard is the dream. The reality is that for various reasons they're not staying and they're leaving. So all I can say is let's love them and let's give them the opportunities. This was an amazing example, right? Across Aotearoa New Zealand, we have what are called marae. These are Māori gathering points, specifically for Māori and communities to gather, young and old. From people are born. I was born on the marae. I was raised there by these wonderful matriarchs. I return there. I miss my home. It's amazing being here in this home. I feel the generosity and the manaakitanga, this word which means gathering. But even yet, returning home, which is such an important part of grounding yourself, there's still sort of this discomfort, because there is great disparity, certainly in the social and the socioeconomic conditions for Māori and Pacifica communities in Aotearoa New Zealand. So we just have to keep on trying to, on a personal level, I believe, look after our kids, give them the opportunity to be with others in community settings. Our art is what can transform them. And so what's my contribution? My contribution is to be there, is to share what I've learned over time, to hang out with my brothers and sisters, with people in affinity, with people with shared experiences, to really build a camaraderie, to build a sense of community based on our shared experiences, to build trust and to speak honestly about who we are, and to build a vibe, and I think that's what we're trying to do here. I want to introduce Craig Cooper from Asian New Zealand Foundation, who has created the best vibe for our team from Aotearoa New Zealand. We've come on this trip. We've had incredible experiences. We've seen the most amazing theatres, and we've also had the most humble experiences on the streets. And all I can say is it's been the most transformational experience, and I am deeply humbled to be here sharing this platform for this short moment in time. So I hope that I will be able to contribute something to this conversation, because it's actually about being together, and I think that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
Do you have anything to say? In terms of building communities, especially in urban spaces, we try to have regular meetups, at least in our capacity, because unfortunately or fortunately, busy with work, them. So when they are around, they end up meeting different people on ground when they are painting, and they meet all sorts of people, whether it's people who are working in MNCs or in public spaces, especially. It's like cops or a lot of, like I said, drunk men, women. Of course, women are always cheering for us. So we don't like formally organize anything, because anyway it's already happening in a public space, so it's actually open for everybody to come. But just that everybody can't come and paint, because if sometimes we have deadlines and all of that. So but people come, they bring snacks, lot of strangers will come, they'll stop, they'll give us like so much food, they'll distribute everything to them. And in Bombay, I remember when the team was painting in Bombay, somebody brought a sofa from their house because we didn't have place to sit. So we see all sorts of things in public spaces. And so since it's in a public space, we don't have any formal meetups like that.
In the interest of time, since we only have 9 minutes left, could we take your question and your question? I think, yes, and okay, maybe we hear all the three questions and then they respond in one go. So you can start.
I'm going to be very quick. I work with an agency that works with a lot of course, brands, alcohol brands, maybe real estate companies. It could be whatever around festivals and art. My question is to both of the, at least the Indian panelists over here, to kind of ask you how would you want to navigate the funds and power in a way to expand more opportunity on ground, because if that's what you're asking for in a way as a facilitator of maybe these funds coming in, I want to ask you guys, because you've also said you're self-funded and you don't want to grow and you want to grow on your own pace, but where else does Aravani Art Project, Shanti, or how else can we help others who are not a part of the society already? And for you as well with this space, I know you need funding in the space and stuff like that, but where else and how else do we help you guys grow and navigate these funds? Because only, for example, I've seen, and I'm going to bring her up because what she did, that's Natasha, who just ran the Govandi Arts Festival in Bombay. And I think she navigated the arts so beautifully, which was inclusive without being forced upon inclusivity. She wanted a mural to work and teach the kids over there in the community. So she called Aravani Art Project. It wasn't done as a forceful way of, hey, let's include, let's get the transgender community. But I also have a brand that I'm now who's pitching to me and saying, I want to give you money, but I want to make this festival inclusive. So let's just call Aravani Art Project. Now they're friends of mine. I've been volunteering with them. Whatever. I'm just saying, is there another way? Okay. And how would you guys like to see that happen on ground?
Thank you for that question. We're going to take a couple of other questions since we're out of time, and then you can respond together. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so like when
It's on.
yeah, so hello, when I'm hearing the panel, a lot of thoughts and realizations are coming through my mind. So just one, my observation is that as a country, we have been a society of hypocrites. This caste divide, which like Dharma has mentioned multiple times, the upper caste, they have worn the best of weaves and everything, but the class that weaves those saris or those garments, they are untouchables. Jewelry is known in India, but like we wear expensive jewelries, but the people who are making their karma cards, sonars and all, they are the untouchables. So this mindset, because I believe, how can we glorify the art behind this? Because as a country, we have never glorified skill-based work. Today also we are talking about, a lot of our urban people are coming and talking about the different weaves and arts, but how many times are we bringing along the community along with us to glorify them? They are left where they are, we are just flaunting. Sabyasachi is such a big international name now, but how many of us are carrying, like taking the communities along? So how do we I think glorification, talking more about the people behind the art is very important. And how do you plan to do it? And how do you strike the balance? Because in India, as you said, that you are like not in a hurry to achieve or prove anything. But we have seen the case of sin cleansing, where reservations are there, some CSR activity, you have to take this community. And instead of doing good, they are made to compete without being prepared to compete with the mainstream. And that kind of leaves them dejected, heartbroken. So I think too much I have asked, but how do you balance and start making those corrections through your communities and work?
One last question, and then
And my sort of question observation is sort of partly from the UK, which is there are a number of sort of artists, people I've known and worked who have, from their artwork, they've actually decided that they are going to enter into the world of politics. So I know Shanti said she hates politics, but actually they have made that decision that they, as well as their artwork, they've felt that they need to actually do something else, and they felt that they should use the democratic system as it is. And just my other observation is whether there is like a high-level leadership program in India that can then support people to become even bigger, stronger leaders, or not bigger, but just stronger leaders.
Thank you. You can respond to any of those questions.
Yeah, I'll start with Roshni's question. Um, Firstly, I'll correct myself. Yes, I meant to say that it's not like we are shut for funding, but we are not desperate. We're not desperate because we have our own pace in a way that, of course, we have some kind of a uh, uh, protection already. Maybe we already have some funds, and hence we're not going to be desperate. And I think as a group, and I can speak for them, that we are not in a hurry because the community, I need to know what they want to learn or what they want to train in, what they want to do if the money comes. After taking the money, because what I've seen with lot of NGOs is they keep going for fundraising, and then after they raise the fund, they're only paying their employees. We don't want to do that because we don't have employees. So then what do we do with all the fund? And I don't want to be responsible for it because it is a very big responsibility. And if it doesn't go rightly to the community, I cannot even sleep. So I don't want to take that responsibility, not knowing what the community wants, what my team wants to do with that money. And when there is clarity, we will apply, and I'm sure we will get, in a way that, I mean, because our plan will be strong and it will be from them. So in terms of engaging, of course, for us, work is the most important thing. Our work and their livelihood depend on the arts. So commissioning projects is one of the biggest supports that we can get. And being invited to festivals is something we can get. And we also love collaborating with any local festival. And I reached out to Natasha as well because I know no matter where we go, there are transgender people, but they are never ever part of anything. And I know because it's challenging, they are difficult to work with. Why don't people see beyond that? Yes, it is difficult. All communities can be difficult to work with, but that does not mean that you can exclude them. It's is my thinking. So I know, discussing with Natasha, and it was not easy as well to do the work that we did at Govandi, but it was so beautiful in the end because we gave them the time and the space to be a part of it or not. This is the, yeah.
Uh,
Correct. Yeah. 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 Mm. We
okay. I have the unfortunate job of
yes.
cutting everyone short right now because we're nearly at the end of our time. But maybe if we could have quick responses from our
Yes.
other two panelists, and then, of course, everyone is available for conversation. I do quickly want to say that the responsibility of making things happen shouldn't only be on the people on stage. It's on all of us, and we need to be part of these conversations around the how. With that, I would love to hear from Moss and Dama.
Yeah, let's do it together. I won't speak about that because this is not my place, but I'm with you. An action that I can take is to simply sit here and be with you and listen to you and stand with you because it's an important conversation to have. Secondly, the conversation about working with community. If we are developing or making a work with community and the community is not brought with us on the project, we're not going to do the project. It's simple. Simple. We just stop. In terms of the idea of leadership, so I ran an Indigenous company in New Zealand for 10 years. It was the most amazing, transformative experience, but I was stuffed, I was exhausted, and so I stopped and kind of retired. And a friend of mine, my wife's cousin actually, invited me to take part in a protocol by Glennie Singleton called Courageous Conversations About Race. And he invited me into this system of having a conversation, a healthy, productive conversation. And these tools gave me some hope. And so during this time that I was doing this work, I was invited to make a work with the Royal New Zealand Ballet. I was at home in the backyard. I got invited to make a work with Bangara, and then at the same time was invited back into the arts for this work here, the Chief Executive Artistic Director of the New Zealand Dance Company. So out of this moment of exhaustion, I sort of picked up a few tools: place, name and intention, navigating the compass, having a conversation, meeting someone where they are, just staying engaged, you know, experiencing discomfort. These simple tools gave me a little bit more capacity to hold a role with great responsibility, to provide a platform for multiple artists, for a diverse range of artists, dancers and choreographers to come through our company. And it's given me a framework to be able to navigate that in a healthy way, in a productive way. And I can come home at night and feel like I can get back up tomorrow and keep going. So would just recommend, if you, just to answer your question, this program called Beyond Diversity is available online. I wasn't supposed to be doing a plug for this program, but it did help me. And there are other ways. Going home, seeing mum, having more dinners with mum has given me greater capacity. So just encourage everyone to get home as much as you can, eat well, stay healthy, and stay connected with your friends.
Yeah. In our movement, we usually call in Hindi Sangharsh Nidhi. Okay, it's an resistance fund we call when you perform in any places, any space. Then we have our duffly. We will just put a duffly on the front, and we will just call to the audience. You can put money, or you can come and just connect with us. Give your number. We will talk for the collaboration workshops, and the people contributed. We call that a resistance fund. So it's this kind of thing. And now we are really interested in with individuals. We do many individuals supporting in Mumbai. We have like-minded theater makers which is supporting the space, and we are now as a collectively we will just let's sit together how we will when who is giving the fund, what is the purpose, what is the agenda. We have to all discuss, and then we will literally, I think, find out some way. If there is ethical problem, value problem, then we definitely stop that kind of help, and we will do some. So we are now really interested to. We have our women's group to perform. We have ourselves one play called Kavan and Ambedkarite Opera, which is collaborative with Abhishek Muzumdar. So it's we are now trying to making our productions, art productions, to perform, and we will you give us like a co-commission by this kind of thing. We are ready to do perform everywhere and give us a fee. Don't give a charity. Okay, this kind of approach also we have. Yeah, thank you. और आपने जो बात किया हम बाद में भी बात कर सकते हैं कि I have मतलब we in India there's a caste gaze. If I go on the road and I sing the song, people think, oh, he's a beggar because he's a Dalit or only sing on the street. But in Europe, the the different gaze different. Oh, artists, let's respect. So gaze is problematic. So my daughter is one daughter is 6 year old. She love a god Ganpati idol. है ना? So I teach him how important work that artist did. Okay. So how you beautifully work. So let's salute to the artist. Okay, not like a god. So Brahmin come and this mantra did, then they become an idol of alive. So I think in Indian context, we should craftsmen and all artwork should see differently, and we will try to de-learn things to understand, to develop approach to see towards artist which is by caste. Okay, it's a creative artist, but we sing in the caste version. Thank you.
Thank you so much for all your questions, and I'm sure there's a lot more to say. All our panelists are available to, you can come up and speak to them. I just wanted to end by, summing up some of the wonderful things we've heard today. As a dancer, what I take away is just that the way we need to look at this is to really engage with our senses. We need to listen to ourselves, listen to others. We need to see, hear, touch, taste, smell. We really need to begin to recognize what is happening around us and begin to realize that we're also part of that change. And of course, our panelists have offered many strategies from autonomy. How do you carve out spaces to work for yourself? How do you carve out spaces where you're not compromising on dignity or agency? They've emphasized on the importance of place and also of space, of having a location, having somewhere to root yourself in, having somewhere to say, this is mine, this belongs to me, and to be able to belong to that space. They've spoken about negotiating the politics of hatred. We're, 60 people in this room having a conversation, but we're going to go out into a country of 1 billion people, and that is the scale at which we have to effect change. Discrimination is everywhere, and I think besides reflecting, of course, they've brought a lot of lived experience to this panel, but besides that, it's all our lived experience matters. Everything that you do, every single action matters a lot, and I think that's what these panelists have left me with. So thank you, Purnima, Shanti, Moss, and Dhamma for this wonderful conversation. And thank you, Rashmi, for bringing us together. And thank you, Surendipati, for having us here.
Thank you to our panelists for this insightful discussion, to Rashmi and the CultureCon team for bringing this panel together, and to you, our audience, for making this conversation so much more meaningful. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.